not trying to capitalize on the fact that my Jess Franco videos get hella clicks, but it just so happens that another Jess Franco film is the one that I seem to have the most to say about. So we're going to talk about Lorna the Exorcist. This was recommended to me by Gary. Took me a while to get my hands on it, but I was finally able to watch this. And a lot of you guys were warning me about this movie. And I think I know why. But, you know, I couldn't turn back. I made a commitment that I was going to watch all 45 of these movies that y'all recommended to me. So I had to watch Lorna the Exorcist. I have to talk about what happens in this movie, so I guess you could say there are spoilers here. If you know anything about Jess Franco, at least from what I'm getting at this point, like, you can't really spoil it. It's not really about the story, it's about the experience. So proceed with caution, as I am going to be outlining the events of the movie, but I need to talk about it. Oh, and if this is your first time clicking on one of my videos where I talk about Jess Franco, just know what I'm doing here, this is first impressions. So I'm not deconstructing shit. I've only seen a handful of his films, you know, all that kind of stuff. Okay, this is a first impression from a girl like brand new to this. So don't let me offend you. This film was released in 1974, of course, directed by Jess Franco. It's starring Pamela Stanford as Lorna. I've never seen her before. Guy Delorme as the dad. Apparently his name is Patrick. Lena Romay as Linda. And Jacqueline Laurent as Mom, aka Marianne. So what is this movie about? Well, it's about the dad. This dad was down on his luck 19 years ago and meets some lady, and he's able to strike up a deal with her. But her stipulation is, I get your firstborn daughter on her 18th birthday. And he's like, yeah, sure. Anyway, so he becomes very successful. And of course, now his daughter is played by Lena Romay, and she is about to be 18. So dad starts getting phone calls from Lorna. I thought this was pretty funny. Like, now when people be asking me for favors, I want to say, on one condition, you give me your firstborn child. But then I'm like, well, that's kind of creepy. So I guess I can't say that. We start off this movie with a 10-minute scene, and it's very slow because Jess Franco loves the like slow moments. We're watching Lena Romay and this lady who looks like a clown with a freaking clown wig and clown makeup licking each other's hairy bits. This is a weird movie to watch while you're eating breakfast. And yeah, so this film's kind of a porno, but we'll get more into that later. So there's actually some, you know, plot. Linda's about to be 18, so the parents are like, let's go to this place. And then Lorna calls dad, and she's like, no, you're going to this place. So then they all go somewhere else. Basically, this dad is being forced by Lorna to do certain things. And meanwhile, the wife and daughter think he just has a girlfriend or something. So yeah, our setting is the seaside once again. I think Jess Franco was a big fan of the beach, but I guess I am too. And you guys have already pointed out several times that he does recycle things a lot, which is cool because, you know, why just throw one cool concept into the trash because you've used it once? I like that he keeps reusing people and names and characters and shots and themes and symbols as much as he wants to. And I don't know if this was like him cutting corners or if this was an intentional choice, but I don't know if they ever shot at night and there'd be like, oh, it's time to go to bed, or it's the middle of the night or something, yet it's still daylight. They didn't even try to mess with the ND filters or anything. It's just like, the sun's shining in here, but it's time to go to bed. So something that I did notice symbolically about this movie is the liminality throughout. I bet somebody's written a paper on this. So liminality in transition. So we have Linda, who's changing from a girl to a woman, crossing that 17 to 18 line. We have the liminality of like being at a port, all these empty boats, like this is a place of transition. And there's often scenes of them walking, like from the casino to the hotel or whatever, like walking from one place to another through this empty stretch. Like at one point they're walking through this like underpass or a tunnel sort of thing. So you're seeing a lot of this in between. Oh, there's also imagery of giant buildings being built. So we're in this like built up area, but it still feels empty. So liminality all throughout this movie for sure. And it does evoke this sort of lonely and uncertain feeling to it. Basically, this is a film of liminality punctuated by sexual encounters. Yes, throughout the film, Linda is having like dreams or fantasies or something where she's doing stuff with Lorna. I don't know if this is meant to be enjoyable. You know what I'm saying? It's like kind of weird. So what do most people probably think about when they think about this movie? I'm sorry if I might be spoiling this for you, but there's a scene, I guess it's death by crabs. But it's like the crabs that people get down there, but they're actually like real crabs. Bush crabs. Okay? But it's only happening to the mom. I don't know why, but it's happening to the mom. And it's a really weird scene because these crabs appear and she just starts like rolling around and screaming without even trying to like, you know, swat them away. And even worse, these little crabs, I mean, they're probably like that big, you know, but they're like real crabs, I guess. They start crawling on the floor and the dad like stomps on them. And I feel like that's the worst part. So yeah, this only happens to mom. I'm not sure if this is like Lorna doing her curse work, but I don't know why it only happens to the mom. But anyway, death by crabs. Death by crotch crabs. Lorna wants what she has been promised. She wants the 18-year-old Linda. And the dad is like, no, it turns out I like her a lot, so I actually don't want to give her to you. And Lorna's like, you don't have a choice. So the whole film is basically dad trying to figure out how he can save Linda's life and Lorna just closing in. So who is Lorna? Well, she's not an exorcist. So that's a pretty weird title. There's very little talk of like demons or evil or anything really. But what Lorna seems to be is like a non-human entity born into human form. And it appears there's some sort of work that has to be done by her and her ancestors and her descendants. Gosh, now that I'm sitting here, this film's actually kind of hard to explain. So you know how I always said that Lorna and Linda are like doing sexual things? Well, it turns out that Lorna says that she's Linda's mom. So that's weird. But can you really be incestuous with someone who's not even really a human? I'll leave that up to you. So there is a kind of a brutal scene between Lorna and Linda, but it did remind me of the same sort of thoughts I had while watching uhhhh. A person coming to their sexual awakening is always going to be at the hands of somebody else or someone else's influence, right? And I think that this was another depiction of just that. But I won't elaborate too much on that here because I already did in my uhhhh review. So like I mentioned, I noticed a lot of recycled images. So, you know, if I had been worried that female vampire was the end of the crotch zooms, I needn't be worried because the crotch zooms are back in Lorna. So overall, this film did have a lot of good things about it. The music was great. It was like very lonely sounding. The scenery, of course, is good. Like the film looked very good. I thought the acting was good. I really liked the cast. I even liked Lorna once I got used to that weird clown makeup. Oh yeah, I forgot I was gonna try that makeup for this video, but oh well. The themes do leave your mind to wander a little bit, you know, considering who is Lorna, what is her mission. It's kind of giving like Antichrist vibes, which is fun. I am not gonna tell you about the ending scene, but I thought it was pretty cool. It gave me a lot to think about there too. But that's all I'll say. I don't think this was a bad film, and I don't think it's the worst from Franco that I've seen so far, but this is a porno, so you can't like just recommend it to someone. There's this barrier to entry, I guess you could say. It's not easy to find, it's not streaming, and you can't be like, hey, check out this film, you know? It's not for the uninitiated. I mean, heck, maybe I'm uninitiated. But Franco's work specifically has had me start to ask myself, why is it that as soon as genitals appear on screen, it's suddenly like not a real movie? You know, like, oh, it's suddenly a joke, or it's suddenly trash, or you shouldn't take it seriously because it has the female body in it. Especially like it would be classy and competent if it didn't have this extreme nudity in it. I don't know, that really like plays into the pearl clutching nature of the movie viewing audience. And I think it is funny that the knee-jerk reaction is like, if there's genitals on screen, the film is now a joke. It is no longer legitimate. So I'm trying to like suspend that reaction. So yeah, the movie was a lot of screaming, but it's memorable, which is why I'm sitting here talking about it, even though I don't know if I'm gonna like ever watch it again. It was an experience, you know? And I had to talk through it. We need justice for those crabs. I go into a little bit more detail in my Letterboxd review, so if you want to hear more of my thoughts, perhaps presented in a more coherent way, check that out. And that wraps up my review of Lorna the Exorcist. I just don't know how I got here. If you're still here with me, I do have some like housekeeping stuff and announcements that I have just saved for the end. So one, work started back really hardcore. I wasn't expecting to go like 3 weeks without making a video. So my apologies, and all I can say is that I will do my best when I can from this point forward. Great, wish me luck. Okay. Second, a member of our Giallo community here on YouTube named Marcos is working on his senior thesis. He's studying film at NYU, and he is doing a film inspired by, among other things, Giallo, and it's going to be called Ursula Unraveled. He's fundraising for it right now, so I'm going to link it below. If you're interested in checking that out and helping the next generation of Giallo enthusiasts, please do. Next, I just wanted to give you a heads up that my friend Peter has created a Giallo short film, and it's called Till Your Last Breath, and it's coming soon. But I'm just hyping you up, okay, because I'm gonna link you when it's released. And finally, I have made a Google form where you can recommend my movies. It's been kind of a lot to try to pull them and save them from like DMs and comments and all this other stuff. So I've created this one avenue for which you can recommend movies to me. So that's going to be linked below too. And that's all I had for you today. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao!